And we are live for the Steelers Depot Monday live stream here on Monday, November 1st. A very happy November to you guys. A very happy Halloween and happy Victory Monday to you guys as well. Steelers Nation Pittsburgh beating the Browns yesterday 15-10. Big week 8 victory for Pittsburgh to move to 4-3 on the season. As always, Dave Bryan is here with me answering as many questions as we can over the next hour. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing good. 3 victory Mondays in a row. What's up? What's up with that, huh?
Not too shabby. So appreciate you guys stopping by. As always, Dave and I will answer as many questions as possible until 8 p.m. If you guys want to have your question be guaranteed to be asked and answered, be sure to send us a super chat and let me know if there's any issues with the audio or the video of this live stream. And you guys can watch it back later. It'll be archived on Steelers Depot and on my YouTube channel. So we'll jump right into the questions. And again, for some reason, if questions come in hours early, they seem to be cut off in the live chat. So I apologize that the first line I have here in the live chat that I'm seeing is from Tim Chase, who says, since teams use multiple backs, why are there no longer Jerome Bettis's, Natrone Means, and Ironhead Hayward body type backs in today's game? So he's asking, why aren't there the bigger power backs of the NFL today? I think there's a couple. I mean, not maybe as many as there used to be. You know, you got Derrick Henry, obviously, although he just got hurt, he's going to miss maybe the rest of the season, if not several weeks. AJ Dillon's a really big guy, but I think Tim, that's just a reflection of the college game. As the college game has gone smaller and more spread, you know, offense, defense, all those guys across the board have gotten smaller and did more emphasis on athleticism and speed and stuff like that. You just don't see many of that mold anymore. So it's that trickle up effect from the high school game to the college game to the pro game, and you just don't see too many of those big backs because the way systems are in college, it's about speed and spread and catching the football.
Yeah, and if you are big, you're big like the Le'Veon Bell, Najee Harris build big,
Right.
and yeah, you do have still that level of athleticism to you. It's all about RAS score now and P Spark score and things of that nature. Plus, on top of it, if you had a kind of more of a, let's say, a more situational guy, say like a Jerome Bettis, you're going to be limited on probably on the snaps that you give him overall, and then two, you don't have special teams, capability out of guys like that as well too. So teams tend to make a lot of decisions, especially on the back end of that roster with the backups when it comes to special teams. Hey, I think they should expand rosters 3 or 4 more players, and I think the NFLPA would probably agree with me as well too. I think it'd be nice to have specialized players, such as that, as a bigger kind of back type situation
hmm
there. But until they work that all out, and I doubt it will be before the next CBA. Unless there's some sort of give or take there, I think we're kind of stuck with the 53-man roster, and then the possible game day roster at 55 as it is now. I don't think the whole elevation thing is going away anytime soon. In fact, I bet the league kind of likes that, and I don't know the NFLPA probably likes it as well too. But I
hmm
would like to see the rosters expanded.
Yeah, I would too. I'm for more players having jobs, more players having an opportunity. I guess there is that line between competitive balance thing that the league's talked about occasionally, but I still think unless the college game changes, you're just not going to have those backs to choose from. And until that changes in terms of the philosophy and mentality and style of college football play, it probably doesn't matter if the rosters are 80 guys in the NFL. It's just hard to find that body type. But want to welcome some people here in the chat. We have Pablo, we have Jason Bodine. We have, let's see, Todd and some other guys here. Deplorable Verdon, Ivo, LU are here. So thank you guys for being here and hanging out with us again till the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Next question comes from Lumberzack94, which says, Happy Victory Monday, fellas. Happy Victory Monday to you as well. Wanted to know if you guys do anything with predictive modeling or anything. Also, can we agree that the Fire Tomlin crowd are just a sad and looking for attention? Yeah, the Fire Tomlin crowd, it's just low hanging fruit. I generally don't pay much mind to it. To the first question, the more important question about predictive modeling, does Clayton do anything with that, Dave? Do you know?
I mean, we look at a lot of analytics and all like that, and obviously I'd like to around week 8, which is about right now, to be quite honest with you. And after this game, I'll probably start getting something together on it. About week 8 is when I start trying to look at predictive as far as playoff stuff. When it comes to the adjusted net yards per passing attempt stat, because it's been so on. When you look at the offensive and the defensive numbers and kind of the marks for each of those, and then you also look at the differential, and if you go back the 20 years or whatnot, and for teams that are generally outside of the the positive differential, history's not good to those teams, and that and right now the Steelers sit right at negative point point nine, I believe, is where
Mm,
they sit in the adjusted net yards per passing attempt differential. It's better than obviously it was a few weeks ago, but it's still, history says that the Steelers can't win the Super Bowl now.
right.
So I mean, obviously, stuff like that is, stats are made, it's historical and stuff, and trends break and all like that. But with this team, at least they're close. I will say
Yeah.
that, at this point. But we will, I think, get more and more. Clayton is really taken to this data science stuff really, really well, and I think he's producing more and more better content. So yeah, I think we'll slowly start moving into more and more predictive stuff like that.
For sure, and Clayton's doing a great job with the work that he does related to analytics and all those advanced numbers and metrics. Noah Baker says, "Happy Victory Monday, Dave and Alex." Same to you, Noah. How would you rate Bugs' play yesterday and the defensive line in general? Thanks for all the great work you guys do. No, I haven't gotten into the coaches tape of the defense yet. I'll do that probably later tonight, but just the first kind of glance through, obviously watching it live with the production or lack thereof in the Browns run game, you have to give those guys high marks. I don't know individually who was better than the other, but whenever you're holding the Browns, that number one rushing attack to 96 yards to a 31% run success rate, and in a game that was close end to end, you got to give those guys credit. It starts up front with the D line. It's a team run defense evaluation overall that was very good, but the D line certainly felt like they played better than they did against Seattle, at least in the third quarter against Seattle.
Yeah, what was the original question? How was that
How
worded?
how how would you rate Bugs' play and the D line in general?
Yeah, I haven't. I'm with you. I'm still on the offensive side of football right now. I do have the all 22. I'll get into the defense a little bit later tonight. I mean, it felt okay across the board up front, to be quite honest with you.
Hmm.
I did see Bugs moved a couple of times. I did see him make a play or two on top of it there. So probably above average overall game for him. But I mean, as much kind of what base they were in. How many snaps did Bugs play? How often were they in base, Alex? You got those numbers?
I don't have it offhand. It's in my Excel sheet, and trying to do it in live stream might be tough to do. But I mean, it was a good chunk of the time. I mean, it was probably about 50% base, if not more. And so that's probably putting Bugs at about 25 to 30 snaps, we'll call it.
All right. So
So
he played quite a bit in there. And look, I mean, you hold that offense to what you held them to, as far as, and look, you can look at, don't look at it at yards per carry. You really have to look at it at success rate there, because I think technically they didn't do too terribly bad from a yards per carry aspect, because they did have a couple of big runs in there. But if you look on a play by play basis, and on a successful run rate basis, they still did their job there, man. I mean,
mhm.
really, 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 really impressive. And the Browns just never had a lot of uh, uh, you know continuity from one play to the next. They never could build up consistency and run downhill against the Steelers. So yeah, I
Right.
mean, they you knew they were going to go into this game with the idea of, we got to stop the run and we got to sell out and do everything we can to do that. They did, and they did.
For sure, for sure. So appreciate you guys who are just coming into the chat again. Dave and I here till 8 p.m. Be sure to ask any and all of your Steelers questions in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer as many as possible. Send us a super chat if you want to move to the front of the line and have your question be guaranteed to be asked and answered by us too. Mike Adesso, appreciate you coming back. Mike says, "Hi guys, happy Victory Monday." Same to you, Mike. Does it seem like Muth is becoming Ben's new Whoopee. Oh, that's a very old school term. The Juju used to be what a player he's going to become. So exciting. Yeah, certainly Ben has a ton of trust and confidence, and Frymuth has talked him up at basically every conceivable opportunity, and that's trust that's well earned. I did a video on that on the channel a couple weeks ago that showed why Ben trusts Pat Frymuth so much, and certainly plays like that touchdown he had on fourth and goal is going to only add to that trust. Just being in the right place, understanding leverage, being a great hands catcher, catching the football, being consistent and trusted. He is that middle of the field, that type of threat, that got to have it play type of threat that Juju was. Juju wasn't a big volume, stat guy the last 2 seasons, but he was making his impact plays on possessions and possession downs, on third and short, on red zone type stuff. And now Frymuth is kind of absorbing and turning into that role, and he's doing a great job at it.
Yeah, look, and then, Ben talked about this after the game as well too. There was a level of trust there because the defender had it back to Fryermuth, and Roethlisberger says, look, anytime you have it back to your defender, especially the end zone like that, you got to let your guy have a chance to make the play, and he did, and Fryermuth rewarded everybody with by making that catch there, and obviously has spent time, during Fryermuth's media sessions that he spent time obviously from training camp and on, working on trying to get the whole 2 feet down instead of the 1 foot down the way it is in college. And he already knew coming out of Penn State that he was a highly reliable, catch percentage guy, and a nice catch radius and strong hands, and really impeccable inside the red zone at that during his time at Penn State. And he's lived up every bit to those initial signs and stats so far
Hmm.
there. So Ben said what a couple of weeks ago that he feels that he's got to do a better job of getting the ball to Fryermuth, and I think you've seen that over the course of the last two games in particular. What 11 catches, something, I don't know, 11 catches, 107,
Hmm.
108 yards and a touchdown so far. And I think our own Jonathan Heitritter has a video or has a film room session out on the site right
Hmm.
now from a few hours ago to kind of breaking down some of the things that Fryermuth did in that game against Cleveland, and tight end number one.
Yeah, he is. And be sure to check out that article by Jonathan. Has a ton of good clips for you guys to review. Mutated Genome says, "Hi, Dave and Alex. Do you believe that Melvin Ingram is better than Highsmith? And if so, why is he not starting? He's paid like a starter, but since he's not, he's become LeGarrette Blunt 2.0. Dave, what do you come in on Ingram versus Highsmith?"
I mean, there's a whole future aspect of there in there too. But I mean,
Hmm.
hey, the thing overall, one thing that I think we've seen with Highsmith is, man, he sure has developed against the run very nice so
Hmm.
far, and quick too. He's getting better as a pass rusher. Game by game there. Probably as a pure pass rusher, I think right now Ingram is the better play by play. The stronger, more experienced. Obviously has that nice spin move. Not that Highsmith's not developing that either, but I mean, if you want to just say pound for pound right this second, probably Ingram is the slightly better player. But I mean, you got to look at this thing long term as well too, and also could can Ingram really handle the snap volume that Highsmith's handling right now? I'm not so sure that he can.
Right.
And Highsmith obviously played a large amount of snaps. Now, me saying that is no knock on Highsmith whatsoever. You just ask me, maybe pound for pound, you know, player for player, pass rushing and run defense, who I think maybe is the better player. I'm going to say probably Ingram, but just by a little bit. It is close, but then you have to look at the future of this thing, and then look at which player can give you the more snaps as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's close. I would give the edge to Highsmith. He's just younger, fresher. I think a more athletic guy overall than Ingram is today. You can drop him into coverage more comfortably, and I think with more productivity. Not that that's the main thing, but I think that's an element to consider as well. And certainly, as you said, the future aspect of it is important. What Highsmith will be year 3, year 4, obviously will be better than what Ingram will be 2, 3 years from now. So, Ingram, it's a weird situation. I think we both think the odds are more likely than not he gets dealt, and I guess we'll find out within the next 20 hours and counting.
Right. And I mean, once again, it's not taking anything away from Highsmith, but I think probably, uh, if it came to a gotta have it type pass rush situation, I'd probably want Ingram out there. But
Yeah.
I mean, once again, Highsmith is developing nicely, especially against the run. Would like to see him have more power aspect into his game, and that probably will still come. I mean, he's still developing as a pass rusher. I mean, we're talking about what, full season. I mean, not even a full season to start, or right at about a full season to starts, technically, I guess, about right now, right?
Yeah, what did he have? 5 last year, and he's got 6 this year, so
Okay, so
not even.
not
Yeah.
even a full slate as a starter yet though. So I mean he's right on course.
Yeah, yeah, but I think trending in the right direction for sure. Got a nice comment here from Ivo G. Says, "Hi, Alex and Dave. I am the Bulgarian announcer guy. I gave you a straight up shout out between plays at the start of the third quarter. Don't care if I get in trouble. I learned so much from you. Love you. Appreciate that. That was he had a podcast email question, right? I believe was the reference there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know if we heard from him here before in the live stream or in the podcast one, but yeah, we certainly do appreciate that. Hope things are going well over there, and you're doing your part to educate the fans over there.
Yeah, appreciate the nice comment. Appreciate you being here. It's late over there or early. I'm not sure what the time zone is, but thanks for hanging out with us. Verdon Barzy says, "What and whom do you consider the weakest link on each side of the ball?" That's a good question. Defensively, I still think the personality of the Steelers defense has changed to a degree. They've had to play more zone. They have blitzed less overall. I don't know the exact numbers from yesterday. Maybe a little bit more blitzing yesterday than usual. But I think they've had to adjust to kind of compensate for a defense that's allowed bigger plays and has had some younger pieces trying to figure things out. And they are growing. They are getting better. You know, Norwood, Pierre, Millette being a new face to the Steelers. But I think they've had to kind of change what they do philosophically, which has impacted this defense in a couple different ways.
If we're looking just, I think it's fair to look at this because they're playing so many players on both sides of the football right now, right?
Hmm.
I think it is fair, better, or a lot fairer to look at this more the way you looked at it, more maybe schematically, where some of the weaknesses are, other than just saying one player. You
Yeah,
know,
well, you can interpret it. I mean, whatever way you want to interpret it.
Right, but I mean, I'm with you. I'd like to see them have the ability to play better man coverage on the defensive side of football. And then look, offensively, I don't know how you want to chop up the blame, but they have got, and what it's probably not going to happen at this point, and I think it might be a little bit foolish to think it's going to happen. They have got to be able to push the football down the field. I know people get tired of me saying it, but they have got to start hitting some of these deeper pass plays down the field. You cannot, I don't think, go game in, game out, expecting to have your explosive plays come on, catch short, run long situations. And I mean,
Right.
we saw one yesterday, obviously, with Deontay Johnson on what was that, a 2 yard pass and a 48-yard run. I mean, it counts. I mean, they can't take that stuff away from you. And then, even on the Gentry explosive play there, that was a blown coverage, and it was I think it was a 12-yard catch and a 12-yard after the catch situation there. So once again, not a deep pass down the field. I think Ben was 0 for 3 on passes of more than 20 yards down the field. Uh, you just the you're going to have more scoring offensively the more chunks that you can get at a time, especially with this offense here. So I would say the weakness on offense is the ability to create explosive plays, and
Yeah.
that would not be a lie right now.
No, I'm with you 100%. That is probably the biggest sore spot. The run game has certainly improved. The O line is improving much better, leaps and bounds from where they were just a couple live streams ago. And just overall hitting a deep ball, hitting a chunk play. So you don't have to always be the crisp 10, 12 play drive kind of a team to score more points, to win more shootout games when your defense isn't playing its best football. When you're playing a better offense overall, you're not going to win a lot of games scoring 15 points. Good enough for yesterday, and we'll take it. We're not going to complain about it, but 15 points generally not a winning formula in the NFL today.
I mean, just to put this in perspective, there was zero explosive plays by this offense at halftime. yesterday. And how many points did they have at halftime?
3.
Three. All right. And their first explosive play, I don't think, came until Fryermuth, that pass out to the left side. Once again, a short pass. Fryermuth did a great job of making a guy miss. That went for 22 yards. But once again, that's throw short, and luckily he ran long. I think the next explosive play after that was that pass over short left side to Najee Harris, and he broke a tackle and got 20 yards. So the first explosive play, if memory serves me, came at like 4:25 left in the third quarter. So you went 2 quarters and almost, well, three quarters of a third quarter without an explosive play. You did have two in the third quarter there, and then obviously you had the wide open pass to Zach Gentry that was early, I think around the 13-minute mark in the fourth quarter, and then you needed that one extra play, that short pass to Deontay Johnson on which you broke down a very, very nice RPO and all
Mhm.
on that, and catch short, run long there. I think counting on that kind of stuff though week in and week out is hard to do. And you obviously saw at the end of the first half, no explosive plays and really no points.
Right, right, for sure. Should have had 6 though, had they not gone for the fake. But yeah, 3 way they walked away with it. LU, how do you think the Steelers will approach the kicker position after Boz returns? Do they plan on training Harvin to kick in case of emergency? Does Mason know how to hold? I mean, I'm sure Harvin, in some extent, had that plan was talked about with him and Danny Smith. I don't want to think that they never addressed about what happens if our kicker gets hurt. It's a rarity, but it's not that uncommon. Someone pulls a hammy, someone gets run into, and the guy gets hurt. Who would expect it on a fake field goal? Obviously, that's one in a million. But I think there was that plan always in mind. So Harvin just has never kicked before. He didn't do it in high school, didn't do it in college, didn't do it in the NFL. So you can try to train for it on the side, but there's a big difference between kind of messing around at Heinz Field or at the South Side, I should say, in practice and doing it in a stadium and in games that count and wins that matter. So in terms of the holder, Ben's the emergency holder. I think Rudolph could do it as well, but I think Ben is the backup there. Apparently Cam Sutton was getting reps there because they didn't want to risk, if they did have to kick, that Harvin kicks Ben's hand and hurts his hand or something like that. So it was a whole mess, obviously, but generally that's what happens when your kicker gets hurt. Usually teams don't have a good backup plan when their kicker goes down.
Yeah, I obviously don't know the right or proper answer to the question that the listener is asking there, but I tell you what, it would be interesting to pose a similar type question to Mike Tomlin during his weekly press conference. Is that something that you will allow to maybe start happening on the side, or is there just so much? Because look, Danny Smith talks all the time about the operation, right? The
Hmm.
operation, the operation, the operation. And in today's NFL, with the speed and all like that, if that operation's not fast, uh, that's when stuff gets blocked,
Hmm. Sure.
and all. So it would be interesting to see if Mike Tomlin is asked something related to that. If will you let Press or will Presley Harvin be encouraged to maybe start kicking on the side a couple of times and all like that? You know what? My viewpoint on this is the more you can do, the more you can do, and I don't care even after practice. I think I would try to stay with somebody and start maybe trying to sharpen it up that portion of my game, because you just never know when something like
Right.
that might be you might be asked to do it. So I think it's all on the player sometimes if they want to increase their value to maybe take that on themselves. Maybe not necessarily now because you're in the middle of the season, limited practice time, but during the off season, if I'm Presley Harvin, I think I might get somebody out there that knows a little bit about place kicking and work with them.
Yeah, certainly something to reevaluate considering what happened on Sunday. Jason Bodine, Dalek, which player on each side of the ball do y'all believe is the least expendable? Let's start with offense, Dave. I mean, usually it's the quarterback. Is Ben still the least expendable guy, though, considering that he's not, playing like the elite quarterback he once was?
I mean, I still have, people are not gonna like this. I still have Ben, and I think it got kind of proven yesterday. I think Ben's down the list of things that need to go, that you worry about going into a game. I
Right, but
think
he's
it's
saying least expensive. So, like, who's the most valuable piece? The guy you could not afford to lose the most, if I'm interpreting the question correctly.
uh
Is it still Ben?
man, I think you can run some RPOs with
Yeah.
with Mason back there. I mean, what did Mason do at Oklahoma State?
So if it's not Ben, then who is it?
I
Najee?
think Najee. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm leaning that way.
I think you got about four examples in that game yesterday against the Browns. Four good examples in that game of maybe an argument against fungibility. At least when it comes to the Steelers running backs there. Him making something out of nothing on some of those runs. I think is prime example of why they wanted him and why they got him in the first round. So, I mean, apologies to Ben, but if you're going to run that kind of offense with that personnel right now, not I'm not saying that Mason can run it as good as Ben, yada yada. But if you're asking me right now, expendable wise, I think I'd go with Najee right now because that run game has got to function in
Mhm.
order for the rest of the offense to be successful. I
I'm
think.
with you. I think I would go Harris as well. Defensively, I assume it comes down to Hayward versus Watt, who's least expendable
Oh,
of those two.
man, put the quarter, get to the quarter. What did Bill Parcells always used to say? You protect the quarterback. You get a quarterback. You either protect the quarterback or you get a guy that can get after the quarterback. And yes, Cameron Hayward can get after the quarterback, but something magical happens when more magical happens when TJ Watt seems to get after the quarterback. So apologies to Cameron Hayward. In fact, the Steelers Depot proudly donates $100 to the Hayward House for every
Hmm.
sack. We've done that for a couple years now, right, Alex?
Yep.
With Cameron Hayward there, so we'd like to see Cameron Hayward have 20 sacks this year, and all. But I think the correct answer to that question is T.J. Watt.
I want to be different and say Hayward. I don't know if I can, though. It's real close. I mean, there's no wrong answer here, obviously. I think if you pulled it, it'd be 60-40, 50-50, something like that. I'll go Watt, though. I think Defensive Player of the Year kind of season. But, man, I mean, Cam Hayward, the value as a leader, as an effort player. I think, Isaiah Loudermilk made a great effort tackle yesterday. That's kind of rubbing off when you watch Hayward make the plays that he makes. But both tremendous players, obviously. Got a very generous super chat here from Double HA $20 super chat. Far too kind. He asks, would the Steelers be better off being net sellers or net buyers at the trade deadline? We seem to be muddled in the middle of the potential playoff teams after all. I know it feels like Melvin Ingram's packing his bags on his way out of Pittsburgh. So in that sense, Pittsburgh's selling assets, but I think they're in the buy now mentality. They're 4-3, just got a big win over Cleveland. They're in the playoff race. If they'd be in the playoffs if the playoffs ended today, they're back on track. So I don't think there's any way to justify them being sellers right now, even knowing that Ingram's probably going just because he wants out of Pittsburgh.
Right. The reason you're selling him is because he wants to be sold. I think.
Yeah, not because you want him gone.
Right. Anybody I think in the right mind is hoping that maybe they can work something out and keep him in that depth because at some point he's going to have the third outside linebacker is probably going to have to play for whatever reason soft tissue for a game or whatnot the third outside linebacker is going to end up playing some considerable snaps at some point moving forward here. So you hope something can be worked out. It certainly doesn't sound like it. I mean, ever since this news kind of, I guess, officially broke on what was it, Wednesday morning or
Yeah, there was that
uh,
report last weekend from Rappaport that floated his name, and then Aditi Kinkobala kind of had the first report that said like Ingram does not want to be here anymore. Last Wednesday, I think.
I mean, obviously, even had that not happened, then I think you're still looking to maybe acquire anyway.
Hmm.
Not that you have a lot of
Draft
draft
picks.
capital draft
Yeah.
capital to work with, right?
Right, nothing really. It's pretty bare at this point. But yeah, I think from a mentality standpoint, this team believes they can win. That's been buoyed by the last 3 games, and they certainly wouldn't be selling Ingram unless they felt like they needed to for just his contentness and just not having it become an issue in that locker room. Deplorable BR says Ingram, speaking of which, to Minnesota after Hunter injury. I trade Ebron for a kicking tee and a roll of ankle tape. Yeah, I mean, Ingram doesn't have that length that Hunter has, maybe what the Rens typically have up there in Minnesota in terms of a size. He's kind of a stockier guy, but maybe an option. I don't know teams that be interested. I thought the Rams could be a team, but they traded for Von Miller, so I'm going to kick that idea to the side. But we'll see. We'll see who comes calling, if anyone comes calling.
Boy, do you want to really have to face Ingram
Yeah,
in a
that's
couple
also
of
true.
weeks from now and have him going after Ben Roethlisberger with that spin move against them tackles that he already has a pretty good beat on in practices and all. I mean, I guess worse things have happened in before, but other than that, I mean, look, you just if he's hell bent on going, then just I guess try to just get what you can get. And I
Yeah.
try to look at some of these, maybe some of these three. Would Dallas be buyers, maybe potentially in a guy like him, or no?
I think they're buyers. I don't know about Ingram specifically, but I think they think they can win.
I mean, what would he kind of fit what they do?
Do they have a need there? I mean, they've had some injuries, but Gregory's back. I mean, maybe. I'm not saying no. I just don't know their situation too well. I think
Eh,
the one Cowboys fan I listened to says they should make a play for Ingram. So I think that would make sense.
And who what could you're looking for draft picks, or do they have a receiver that could help you? Uh, Ideally, I think you'd like to get a fourth round pick. I don't know if that's feasible. So if you had to
Yeah.
settle for a fifth round pick, I guess okay. If I could get me a speedster to take the top off the coverage, I sure would look to maybe do that.
Yeah, and maybe Arizona. You mentioned Andy Isabella. We'll see. I mean, just get whatever you can get for him, the best offer possible. I suppose. I don't know if the market. I think there's a market for him. I don't think it's incredibly hot though. A freaking amazing says I'm excited for the run blocking film room of Steelers throwing the frownies out of the club. Yeah, that video will be up tomorrow. Probably I've already recorded it and got 7 8 clips of the Steelers just winning the point of attack, being aggressive, and so hopefully you guys will enjoy that one. Braden Miller, nice comment. Hi, Dave and Alex. Thanks for all the work you guys do. Appreciate it, Braden. Thanks for being here. Pitman says Steelers need a 1-2 punch at running back. We don't have that on the roster. What do you guys think? I don't see that. Najee Harris is the one and the two punch. He is the back. He is the bell cow. He's the reason why this he was taken 24th overall. So I don't think you need that committee there. Pittsburgh Tomlin specifically does not really subscribe to that committee theory. They want bell cows. They want workhorses. They want the Le'Veon Bells. They wanted the James Conner when he was healthy. That's why Conner couldn't fit anymore in Pittsburgh, not because of talent, just because of health, and he couldn't be that bell cow kind of guy, and that's why they made the move there to take Najee Harris. So I think he is the one and the two and the three in this offense.
A one and a two and a three.
And we'll break into song. We worked on that musical, right, Dave? You got the lyrics down? No? All right. John
uh,
Pennington, Dave and Alex, how do you guys feel about the no penalty call on Boz after the throw and the penalty call on the running back for lowering his head? Yeah, it was a missed call on Boz. He's afforded the same protections the way that a normal quarterback is. The wackiness of the play, I guess, caused the officials to miss it, or whatever the case is. What was the penalty for the running back lowering his head? Was that the Browns player that did that? Trying to
I'm
remember what
trying
that play
to.
was. I don't remember that play.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank real quick. Yeah.
Unless he's talking about the one in the Bengals game, because I think Mike Hilton got flagged for something that kind of cost him the game or played a big impact in the game. I'm not that sure if that's what you're referring to there, John. Let's see. Todd says, "Is Ingram gone? How about Ebron? I think Ingram's going to be gone. I think Ebron stays. So, what say you, Dave?"
Yeah, I think that's the way it's going, and I don't know how much you want to read into which players made the trip to Cleveland, but Ebron was there, and reportedly Ingram wasn't. Now you can make the argument that Ingram's groin injury was a little bit more serious, and maybe needed some treatment or something along those
I don't know
lines,
about all
but
that. I don't think
I'm
so.
saying
I know.
some might
You
try to
could.
make the argument there, but both of them are dealing with soft tissue. You think one of them, if one of them's got to stay to get soft tissue treatment, then the other one probably needed to stay as well too. But I think you could probably read a little bit more into the fact that Ingram did not make the trip and Ebron did. So if I was to bet, I would bet that Ingram's gone and Ebron stays.
I just think from a market standpoint, I don't think Ebron has much of a market. I think Ingram will have more as a pass rusher, as a better player, the more productive player this season. And I'll put my tinfoil hat on. I know we both kind of had the idea out there. Is Ingram even hurt? I don't know if he's really hurt or if it's just a fake groin injury. I
It's
get
hamstring.
with Ingram.
You
Yeah,
mean?
I'm sure
Oh, you're
Ebron's
talking Ebron.
legitimately hurt. I
Okay,
think Ingram, the week that he wants out, all of a sudden
right.
pops up in the injury report with a groin, doesn't travel.
I bet that.
I don't know.
I bet that groin's about to get better
Yeah,
real
this
quick.
4:01 tomorrow. That groin's gonna heal up really well.
It's a Christmas
Miracle.
miracle.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Great doctors over there in Minnesota or whatever team Ingram goes to. So I'm just saying. Let's get back to a couple of questions here. Again, Dave and I here for just another half hour. So be sure to throw your questions in the live chat. Let's see. Mike Adesso, how would you rate the O line so far on a 1 to 10 scale? He has Moore with a 5, Dotson 3, Green 5, Turner 6, Chooks 6. As a unit, probably 25th in the league. I don't have number grades right now. They've gotten better where they were in week 1, week 2, a lot different than where they're at, yesterday in the Seattle game, the Denver game. So they're improving. I don't know if one guy's been amazing. I don't know if one guy's been terrible. I will say, just going through the tape kind of relatively quickly, I thought Kendrick Green probably had his best game as a Steeler yesterday. I was really impressed with his performance.
Yeah, we talked on the podcast this morning that I think pound for pound, Trey Turner probably had his best game in
Hmm.
a while. And Kendrick Green, really, there were some moments where you, especially in the run game department, saw him take some good angles, really start, really move some people there. So that it was an encouraging, and it's slowly the last 2 or 3 games, it's slowly been encouraging with him. I think, and even going back to the Green Bay game, he didn't get us he didn't get killed as bad as what we thought he might get killed by Kenny Clark,
Hmm.
yeah, in that game. So I think about midway through that game on, he's made slow improvements there. And oh man, who's been? I mean, there's it's been, I hate to use the Mike Tomlin reference, but it's been kind of like popcorny up there as far as because Okorafor I thought had some good, a couple good run blocks in that game against
Hmm.
Cleveland. Dan Moore had one or two. Okay, I think overall Dan Moore was easily the worst offensive lineman in that game yesterday, not only from a pass protection standpoint, but from a run blocking assignment too. But that's not surprising when you look at most of the snaps came against in that game there. But
Hmm.
uh, here's the big thing. I mean, who cares about grading and ranking or rating them? The key is that they are better now than they were a couple weeks ago.
Yep, continual improvement for sure. Faceless man, this game really made me think this offense is better without Ebron, particularly in jumbo and two tight end sets. I say we trade him. Again, trading him is just, is there a market? Do teams want a tight end who can't block and isn't doing much as a receiver, who's in the last year of his contract and has a decent amount of wear and tear on him? I just don't think there's much of a demand for that in a position that generally doesn't have a lot of demand. Go get Evan Ingram if you want, a more athletic receiving type of tight end. But I would still keep Ebron just because you don't want to necessarily protect from injury, obviously, but you don't want to put too much on Fryermuth and Gentry, a couple of young guys who have not played a ton of NFL snaps. But I endorse and believe this team. Obviously, Fryermuth's the number one, and Gentry's going to really eat into Ebron snaps. Maybe those guys split snaps 50-50, or Gentry even plays more than Eric Ebron going forward. You're right. This team needs to run the ball effectively, and Fryermuth and Gentry by far are the best run blocking tight ends, at least on the 53.
Now look, I guess here comes Davy Downer here.
Mm,
They did play a lot of two tight end, two of three tight end settings in that game. What I had 20. If you throw out the kneel down, if you throw out the fake the fake field goal, if you throw out what else? There was one other play in there as well too. I think that I had to throw out because it not being traditional there, but. 24 plays in total, two or three or two or more tight ends on the field. I mean, that's all fine and good, but the successful play rate for those particular plays was not great. So I have no problem with playing two or more tight ends moving forward here. But if they do, they've got to do a better job of producing successful plays in those situations. And they really didn't do that. It felt like they did, and
hmm.
in fact, I was kind of surprised when I got to the numbers there and sorting them. So to me, yeah. It's and look, I mean, you obviously want someone out there that can block and run block more so than Ebron can. But you got to get a better success rate if you're going to do that.
I'm
And,
just thinking out
and,
loud.
and you only scored 50 points in that game.
Right.
Let's not forget that either.
That's
All right.
true. I do wonder though, and it'd be a massive study to do. I'm not saying we're capable of doing it, certainly not in the moment, but is there a correlation? The heavier you go, is there a decreased success rate just because boxes get stacked more and it's just maybe in some ways harder to run than whenever things are more spread out? I just wonder if there's a correlation there.
I'm sure we could get the data on that. That might be something for Clayton to look at.
Hmm.
See if he can pull some stuff related to personnel groupings. Let's see. Let me what did I have here? Groupings. We need to let's see if I have the numbers here
Yeah, I
real
just
quick.
wonder,
Go ahead.
league
Go ahead and
wide,
go to the next one.
yeah, if 11 personnel league wide is a higher success rate across the board than 12 personnel versus 22 personnel, maybe not. I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but I'll go to the next question here.
Hey, real
Oh,
quick.
sure.
16 of those 24 plays that featured Fryermuth and Gentry in this game against the Browns came in the second half as well too. So
Okay.
only 8 of them in the first half there. And where's my successful rate? 7 of those 24 plays were successful. That's not a great rate at all, right? I mean, that's not even
Not even a third.
33%,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's about 28%. I mean, that's not good. But as you mentioned, not that we want to cherry pick this stuff, but the last couple of runs there into the game, they're just falling
Sure.
on the ball essentially. So if you take those out, if you take those plays out, it's about a third, which is still not good, but some context worth noting. Those are the cats. Shouldn't teams have an emergency place kicker? It seemed like they were surprised that Harvin couldn't kick. Seemed they didn't even think out the backup holder consequences. No, I mean, it'd be great to have an emergency kicker if your punter could kick, and sometimes those guys do. I remember Matt Weil in camp a couple years ago; he could kick and punt, and so that's an easy solution to it. Holder stuff aside, but they have a backup holder. And I think Ben said that he didn't know that Presley couldn't kick, but I'm sure Danny Smith knew. It just the team never knew because Ben, I'm sure, has never asked the question before. Can Presley kick? So I'm sure that was just new information to Ben, not necessarily new information to Presley or Tomlin or Danny Smith. So I think that's explaining the comment there. But it's tough. I mean, if you lose your kicker, it's like losing your long snapper. What's your backup plan? You might have one, but it ain't going to be a good one because that's just the NFL and the way it's constructed roster size wise.
Did you hear Joe Schobert talk about that today?
Yeah, he said he kicked in high school as a backup kicker, which my God, how bad do you have to be the backup kicker in high school? And the Derek Watt, I was getting like I
Right.
was getting some Ray Mansfield vibes that so one of those
Yeah.
guys might come in and try a short pooch kick or something like that.
Yeah, Derek Watt evidently kicked some field goals and extra points when he was in high school there. So
I tried
that
to find some. I couldn't find any information on that. I was trying to fact check Joe Schobert. I could not find any
uh
information on that. Not on Max Preps, not on Google searches, not on high school stuff. So I'm not. I wonder if that's accurate.
okay.
Probably is. But yeah, wouldn't that be a sight? It'd be Kuntz snapping to Cam Sutton with Derek Watt kicking. That is a good let's just scrap. That's why they go for it, any situation. But next question here, Mark Miller. How impressed, surprised were you to see Ben on those rollouts in the 2 point conversion? I know this is part of Canada's offense, but not something we see Ben do anymore. He did it in camp. Whenever there's no one rushing him, I mean, he can run enough. So, I mean, it is, you don't see it too often, but Ben can sort of do it. He was definitely running for his life on that final play, that final heave, just to try to buy time. But yeah, they can do it. It just, whenever someone's rushing after you, if someone doesn't bite on the fake or chases you, then Ben gets himself into big trouble. So, if for it to work, Ben's got to have clear space to buy time.
And there were a couple other design kind of rolls that went really, really smooth. And of course, when you had Deontay Johnson getting 10-yard separation,
Yeah.
I mean, that makes for a nice pitch and catch there. So, yeah, I mean, it helps kind of keep defenses honest, I guess, to some degree there. I don't think you want to see it 15 times a game. I know I
No.
don't, but
Neither do Ben's knees.
yeah, but I mean, I think he can roll them out a couple of times a game and then set up, them levels type throws and make an easy throw for him.
It just depends how good his body's feeling. It's felt better the last couple of weeks. The hips better, the knees are better, the whole body's better, so you can kind of run a little bit more. Whenever had the bad hip injury, you were doing that less because he just really hurt to try to move and make those movements on the run. Mike Adesso, Jarvis Landry doesn't fumble or have 2 to 3 drops. Browns win that game. No, probably. I mean, who knows? But certainly the Browns, self inflicted wounds cost them dearly in this game, and none bigger than the Landry fumble. And so, yeah, I mean, Cleveland could easily win that game if they did not make all the mistakes they made.
Look, and how many times have we seen the Steelers lose games like that, where they're the ones that have the 6, 7 drops in a game and get the ball ripped out at an unfortunate time there. So yeah, you could go probably game by game around the NFL and sit and watch
Right.
all of them that happened this week, and probably circle the drops and one or two maybe other plays, and you hate to boil a game down that way, but the team that makes more plays than the other team usually is the ones that wins, and it's not the Steelers' fault that I mean, look, once again, we've seen the Steelers on the other side of games like that, right? I
Yep.
mean, where they drop all those balls and
Packers game.
you,
2 missed
yeah,
chances to Juju. Change the game.
yeah. I mean that legitimately that those two could change the outcome of the game in those situations there. So yeah, I mean they did. It was very noticeable that Baker missed a couple of throws, and it was very noticeable that like I said, I think they're down for something like six drops, and then obviously the fumble by Jarvis Landry. That was a huge turning point in that game because at worst they're going to probably get 3 points there,
Hmm.
and if they're able to punch that in, it might be ball game right there.
For sure, for sure. See, I think you're right. You could usually say one or two plays for almost any game this weekend, except the Lions. They needed more than one or
There you
two
go.
plays to
There you
come
go.
back and win
I,
that one.
I apologize. I stand corrected. Good
Got
good point. Good point by you, as Tunch would say.
Yeah, we missed Tunch very much. Some nice comments here from Steel Pastor and Quality Colos. I might be butchering that. I apologize, but you guys had some nice comments about the work we do. So thank you guys for being here. Much appreciated. Next
Look,
quote.
it's a group effort. We got a great,
It is.
amazing team, and the best thing about kind of what Alex and I are able to do at this point is, a lot of people don't need a lot of direction. They just go off in their different directions. They know the kind of content that we expect that our readers and expect and all like that. And last thing I want to do is have to tell people you go do this, you go do that, and it's kind of the relationship that kind of the core Alex, myself, and Matthew Marksty have had for so long. And I think that's kind of what made Steelers Depot what it was the way the three of us, lack for a better word, misfits work together and have a good sense of what the readers and listeners want and kind of go from there. So it really is a team effort, and we just got an amazing group of people writing and working for the
Hmm.
site right now.
And we thank you guys for nerding out with us. I mean, we can't. It wouldn't work if we were the only ones nerding out, and there was no one to nerd out to. So you guys hanging out with us certainly means a whole lot. Vernon Henderson, what do you see us doing at the deadline? Honest opinion. So, Dave, I'm going to pose the question to you: Who stays, who goes, and I'll make it harder on you and say, what's the compensation for anyone who gets traded away?
Yeah, I think it's Melvin Ingram, and as much as I'd like to see another player and maybe a late round draft pick coming the other way, I'm just going to keep it real simple here. I'm going to say you trade Melvin Ingram away, you get a lousy fifth round pick
Yep,
for him.
me too. I think Ingram's gone, Ebron stays, no other trades come in, and you get a fifth round pick that's going to feel like a sixth rounder because it's going to go to some competing team. So you'll be picking late in the fifth round next year.
Here's the hope, and we're as wrong about that as we were about the game this
Yep.
past weekend. And maybe they get a fourth, or maybe they get a speedster and a seventh, or what have you.
Mm-hmm. David Kapoor, Dave, and Alex, how good was clock management of Ben's last play? Dave, how did you feel about the end of that, the last play, the throwaway, and just kind of how they handled the last couple seconds of that game?
Man, it sure felt like a two left foot situation once
It
again. It's
did.
like, damn, can't you guys do anything right? Having to rush up and then get the what was the penalty, or it was a false start, wasn't it?
Was it that or delay a game? I think it was a
Or
false
was it?
start. It was some penalty there. Well, or no, I think they had called timeout. They tried to rush the snap for some reason. Then Tallman decided to call timeout because it was just too rushed for a situation that did not and should not have been rushed.
I'm
I
trying to
think it
look
was a
at
timeout.
the.
Maybe it was
I'm
a
trying to look
penalty.
at the end here, real quick here. No, it was a penalty. It was Deontay Johnson had a false start over
Mm,
there. I
okay.
thought that was the case. So, and it's because everything felt so rushy. I understand running back and forth to the sideline, make sure everybody's on the page. And then Ben, I think, went back and said something to Hockey Lee and wanted to alert him, maybe find it. I'm willing to bet Ben said, "Look, I want to make sure that the clock runs until the ball hits the ground." I bet was the question that he asked Hockey League just to make sure on it. But yeah, it seemed like a Chinese fire drill in there,
Yeah.
I mean, they got it done, obviously, and that's all that counts there. But it sure didn't seem to go very smooth.
No, it was clunky, which is kind of the way the offense was yesterday,
Clunky.
but
That's the best
clunky,
way.
but good enough to win, which is literally how this offense played yesterday. Let's see. Tim Chase about the refs. Yeah, the refs. I don't think they were good, but I try not to burn much energy on the officials because most people will focus on that, and it just what are you gonna do about it? So it's not in my control. I can't evaluate them. So they miss calls, but that's life.
We'll find out Saturday what they think about the Boswell hit, what the league thinks about the Boswell hit. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
it was a
And
penalty to me.
I mean, not that you get anything back for that, but you know, well, maybe it'll keep Hockey Lee out of the Super Bowl.
Mike Adesso, Ben seemed a little extra fired up after this one. I love what he did. This one meant a lot to the team, to Ben. I think Ben doesn't know for sure if he's retiring, but I think he has a pretty good feeling that this certainly at least could be his last game, and probably is his last game in Cleveland. And so, unless there's a playoff implication, obviously, but yeah, I think Ben. This one meant a lot to Ben.
Yeah, old Tomlin pretty fired up too, and all the videos
Yeah.
starting to come out today after the game on top of it there. So yeah, they were pretty fired up after this one.
Mike also says, "Did you guys notice that Carlos Davis's brother was released this last weekend? Got to pick him up." Yeah, that's Khalil Davis. Pittsburgh put in a claim on him, right? On Khalil Davis.
Yeah they did. Was he what was he cut from? I
Whatever.
must have
Whoever
missed that.
claimed him did Tampa. I don't know who claimed him, but whoever claimed him, I guess, cut him.
Huh.
And so we'll
Well
see if
then
Pittsburgh.
he might be circling you would think that maybe that's an option for him, wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
because Carlos Davis went to IR, so it's not like the group got healthy. We'll see. I mean, it wouldn't be a big shock. I know they signed a guy nose tackle to the practice squad 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, but we'll see what the wire looks like. I guess maybe Tuesday tomorrow.
Let's see. Been waived by the respective teams. Oh, Shakir Brown was waived also,
I saw
evidently.
Detroit, I think, right, cut him.
And the Colts were the ones that I think that
Mm,
waived Khalil Davis.
okay, so we'll see. Keep an eye on it. Yeah, Pittsburgh may still have interest. Let's see. Next question comes from. It's more of a commentary about Melvin Ingram disappointment in him. I mean, to try to give Ingram a little bit of grace. I mean, obviously the public information has been ugly, but we don't know if Ingram's really made a big stink and isn't doing things and doing all the James Harrison type stuff or not. I mean, maybe he's been more professional about it. I mean, who's to say? But it's obviously disappointing because Ingram's an asset to Pittsburgh, and I'd rather see him in Pittsburgh than playing somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ideal situation is you find out a way to appease Ingram, and keep him because I think that's the best case scenario because of the depth of the outside linebacker position. But will they be able to get that done? It doesn't sound like it, but stranger things have
Yeah.
happened, I guess.
Tim Chase says Von Miller was a second and third. What do we settle for with Ingram? I think a fifth. Maybe it's tied to playing time to bump up to a fourth at the absolute best. As Double HH, comments, Denver ended up, retaining basically almost all that salary. So the Rams gave up more because they were taking on $700,000 in salary. Made it very affordable for them. So Ingram is affordable too, but I think, I think a fifth round pick will be enough for Melvin Ingram.
Yeah, it's not about the money when it comes to what's left on his contract right now, especially the way the Steelers structured that thing with the voidable years and all like that. It's all about maybe what you can get at compensation at this point. Do
DCT.
you just get? Is there any part of you that just you know if the set, let's say it's a six, that's the best
Ugh.
that you have out there come deadline? Do you take that, or do you just say, he's gonna like you? He got mad in these pair of pants. He's gonna get happy in these same pair of pants,
It just depends on how much of an issue you think it'll be. If he's James Harrisoning his way out of it, then I think you
which
take
he
what you
could
can get,
do.
which he could. And obviously, him not traveling is that a sign of something we're not sure. If he's doing that type of stuff, then you probably just get what you can get for him. If you think you can, if he can just deal with it for the next 2 months, then I think you hold on to him. And if he gets to a point in December where he's too much of an issue, then you probably just cut him and just say, what, we're just moving on here because it's not a healthy situation. But I think it really depends on the approach and how much what he's willing to do to get out of Pittsburgh is the question, which
Right.
I don't know the answer to, obviously. DCTV, is Ray Ray really the best kick returner, punt returner we have? Yeah, I think so, unless you want to make an argument for Steven Sims, but he's yet to return a kick or punt in Pittsburgh. And so this team is, what, top 10 or so in kicks and punts. And so I'm not rocking the boat there. Let's see. Next question comes from Mike Adesso. Can someone please explain to me, like I'm five, with a defensive holding there on our D lineman? Yeah, that was the one Bugs got called. I don't know what they saw there. I mean, he tried to swim over the left guard of the center, and he didn't hold him at all. If anything, the center might have been holding him. So I don't know. I don't know what the call there was.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it on all 22 yet.
I know they missed one on Trey Turner. Turner got pretty hot because he got held once trying to climb, and so maybe the refs were really looking closer to just the defensive line play in general. But I don't know. It was weird. Got more.
What's Denver going to do now that Von Miller's gone? Could they use a guy like Ingram
I
now or
think they're
no?
just selling. I think they just know their season's probably over. So I'm not sure if they're going to sell Vaughn and then go buy Ingram. Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, they probably know him pretty well, but I don't. That'd be kind of a curious. set of decisions for them. Plus, they got Chubb and they got a couple other guys over there, young guys that have done well for 'em.
Chubb's out for a little while still, ain't he,
Yeah,
or
right. I
no?
think he's coming back though in like I don't know 2 weeks. So I don't know. I mean, I think they can just suffer through. And they got see who's the young guy they have out there that's doing pretty well. I think from Nevada, but we'll see. Maybe. I mean, who the heck knows? Let's see. Couple more questions here. MVP King 7 obviously sucks not having your kicker, but I feel like we won this game because of the aggressive behavior. We needed to score touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, in a sense, because if it's 10-9 or 10-10, because they would have kicked the extra point there on the Harris touchdown, they would have kicked the field goal on that fourth down, fourth and goal, and so it's 13-10, and who knows how that game ends up. So maybe in some weird twisted way, that was a good thing for Tomlin and the Steelers.
That wasn't scoregami yesterday, was it?
No, I had checked. There's been several instances of it. The Steelers have
Oh,
actually
15-10, really?
it's been
Wow.
about 15 or so. Yeah, funny enough. Actually, yesterday, the Steelers and Browns combined had played 4, 15, 10 games total against different opponents and et cetera.
Wow.
And they were 0-4 both in those games. So the Steelers nor Browns had ever won a 15 to 10 game. So someone had to win it yesterday. Pittsburgh did their first 15-10 game since 1972 when they lost to the Bengals. The Browns did one, I think, in 2011. They had a 15 to 10 loss to, I want to say, Jacksonville. So closest score. I was hoping scoregami, but not quite.
Nerd.
That's great. I love Scoregami. That Twitter account is gold, and I love it. It's just hilarious. Let's see. Kevin Herzog, random question. A rookie quarterback throws his first NFL touchdown to a rookie wide receiver who catches his first touchdown. Who gets to keep the ball? Good one. Whoever got drafted higher, I'll say gets to keep the football.
Yeah, that is a good one. I would imagine the one that has the deeper pockets probably,
Yeah.
and probably that would be the one that was drafted a little bit higher. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't think you can cut that football in half there, but I would bet that the quarterback got it.
Whoever had the better throw or catch, whatever was more impressive, they get it. Russ Obenstein here in the chat. Appreciate you. Says just saying hi, guys. Better late than never in a victory. Yes, sir, Russ. Couple of comments here. Very nice from David saying, been listening since Dave and Dave days. The show and the site are better than ever. So impressive, and I love it. And Steel Pastor says he would love a full fledged Steelers Depot app. I have set a workaround, but it would be nice. So something we would like to have someday too, but that would take some time to obviously construct.
Yeah, it's a time thing and making sure we do it right. I've had opportunities to do stuff like that in the past, and I just I want to make sure I do it right, make sure it doesn't hurt what we currently have going at this time, and a lot of things. So who knows? Maybe I'll get a little bit more time this off season, and we'll throw some money at it.
Yeah, right. Ninja says, no way Deontay Johnson is by far our best punt returner. We just can't use him because of the injury risk. Yeah, that might be fair, but I mean, in terms of realistic options, I mean, you don't want to have Johnson get back there getting hurt. So, what other option do you want to turn to? And then, obviously, in the kick return game, who is the better option? McFarland's, I guess, the backup kick returner. Sims is there on the practice squad. I'm good with McLeod, provided he doesn't fumble the way that he fumbled against the Browns. A couple more questions here. Actually, maybe just one more from AZ. You think the Steelers have a shot at the playoffs, even if we go 6-3? The final stretch is brutal. It is brutal. But yeah, if they're 6-3, they're in this thing. So I'm not going to say no. I mean, how could you say no to a team that theoretically, hypothetically, and reasonably so could be 6-3 2 weeks from now?
I mean, what does even the math say? At 6-3. Obviously you never had a 17 game season before though. But I would think that the odds at that point are extremely strong. And as we talked about on the podcast this morning and the last couple weeks leading into this three stretch run here, if they could somehow manage to go 3-0 in these three games, starting with the game that they won on Sunday against the Browns and get to 6-3, I mean, you could foreseeable. I mean, 4-4 in the second half of the season. I mean, that gets you to what, 10-7 at that point. And I mean, you would think 10 wins would get you a wild card at the very least there. And heck, I think even if you go 9-8, the way this division's going right now, I think 9-8 might could get you in as well too. So these, now that you've won the game that's probably the most questionable out of these three, and you're obviously going to be favored in these next two against the Bears and the Lions. Man, don't not now's not one of those time for those slip ups against
Hmm.
a subpar team. So it's out there now for you to get this team to 6-3, and if they do barring a lot of injuries, and those things can obviously happen. You At that point, I think you would really have to like the team's chances at least getting in the playoffs somehow.
Yeah, in that stretch, maybe a touch easier. Obviously, we don't know what'll happen when the matchups come, but the Titans probably won't have Derrick Henry, and the Vikings will not have Daniil Hunter. So those are two superstar players Pittsburgh may get to avoid. So I mean, that's just some perspective there.
I mean, you obviously still have, you got to play the Browns again. You got to
Hmm.
play the Bengals again. You got to play the Ravens twice, right? So
Yeah, and then the Chiefs don't look. I mean, I'll still be scared of the Chiefs, but they don't look like the world beaters that we thought they would be. When the season began, and they got a game tonight here against the Giants in a couple minutes.
just win the next two games, and
Yeah.
then we'll worry about it.
For sure, for sure. Walter S. in all caps. I really love the way people talk about the way Steelers team win their games. Okay, Walter, thanks for the input there. Todd, did Ben or Santonio get the Super Bowl ball? That's a good question. Didn't Santonio have it? Didn't he have it on display?
Didn't he do
That
an
was in that
interview or
documentary.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah. Isn't it that one that a lot of people probably hadn't seen? It's probably one of the better
yeah.
interviews with Santonio. That's in my timeline
It was this
somewhere.
summer, I think. Or
And I think it's on the NFL I think it's on NFL.com. I think it was a video on NFL.com as well too. I don't know. It seems like that ball that he had it in the background there.
Yeah, unless that was just for the documentary. Maybe is it in Canton? I mean, I don't even know. It probably was in Canton at
Yeah,
some point, but
I don't remember.
I want to say Santonio has it, but I do not know for sure. And then our last question here comes from AZ. We had AB return punts. Why can't we have Deontay Johnson do it? You could. I mean, they tried to get AB off punts for the longest time. They couldn't find a replacement. They had Jacoby Jones, and that didn't work, and all that stuff. But AB was able. AB was just a healthier player than Deontay. Deontay's had a lot of injuries and battled small stuff and knee issues over the years, and so you just gotta trust his ability to stay healthy less than you do AB. All right, Dave. I think that will. And actually, Colby says I think that ball might be in Canton now. Yeah, I don't know if it's. I don't think it's on display. Maybe it is, but who knows? Maybe it's not in Canton anymore. But anyway, that's gonna wrap up today's stream. Appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, again, video on the Browns, Steelers offensive line against the Browns coming out probably tomorrow on my channel. So be sure to look for that. Be sure to check out an archive version of this either on my channel in a little bit or on Steelers Depot also in a little bit. And we'll be back 2 weeks from now. So as always, Dave, thanks for being here and hanging out with us.
Hey, thanks for putting this on, and everybody, thank you for tuning in. Peace and love to everybody, and run on over to SteelersDepot.com and see some of the stuff that went up today if you haven't already.
All right, guys, appreciate you being here, and we will talk to you soon.